Everyone, it's your host Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And I have an incredible gentleman full of wisdom, full of insight, and he comes from the world of professional sports. This gentleman, Mr. I can't help but say, just Sir James Hilovsky. Come to the Gentleman Style Podcast stage today. He's sharing wisdom and insight and sharing a experience that few of us has ever gotten to experience, and that's professional sports. And I've always wondered what professional athletes they have statistically a high failure rate when it comes to business, and they seem to be buying cars and luxury items and just not making good decisions with their money, good investments with their money. And this gentleman has insight and knowledge, and he actually talks about and he helps professional athletes make great business decisions, especially into the world of franchising. And so help me welcome to the stage this incredible man, Mr. James Hilovsky, sharing wisdom and insight here on the Gentleman Style Podcast stage. So without further ado, Mr. James, come to the stage.
Thank you so much for having me and looking forward to it. And you're so gracious. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. It's all you, sir. Your resume is extensive and it goes the gambit, sir. And I when I saw you and I found you and I had to reach out to you because I was so glad you said yes to the interview because the conversation is necessary. We see it time and time again that that professional athletes don't do well financially. And so I want to ask to your mindset getting started and kind of a warm up question. Why do you think that is? Why do you think professional athletes don't do well with, the thousands upon thousands of dollars that they may get or earn throughout their sports professional career? Can you speak to that and give any wisdom that you've experienced personally or seen with others?
Oh yeah, I mean there's several different reasons, but one of them is, how many people do you know that are maybe 20, 22 that are millionaires and making really good money? And what do you do when you're that young? You really have no one's really kind of if you don't have that right advice and that right support group, no one's really told you what to do with your money and that, and you're just like, okay, the cars, the house, and a lot of them sadly support their friends, and you have hanger-oners that they're just they're the man and the athlete, and the athletes, they sometimes they really don't want to say no because they are just what they are. Everyone looks up to you, and sometimes I feel that some athletes feel that they have to take care of everybody in their circle.
That's true. It's true, and I think you're right. You're very right. Can you share some experiences that you had, some background and overview of your history and your career path to let people know two things? One is it's not an overnight success thing, right? And two, how did what was some of your background that led you down the path of sports, professional sports, and now franchising and business coaching?
Yeah, I'll just kind of give you the whole kind of gamut here, reader digest kind of version, Um, so right out of high school, I went and played in the Philadelphia Phillies minor league system. I grew up in a very small town, so I was a very big fish in a little pond. And then I got into minor league camp, and oh my goodness, it was like everybody throws hard and everybody's good. And really struggled with the mental aspect of just being average. And then I really got hurt my shoulder, and really tore my rotator cuff, and it was really just something that it was like, well, you played a little bit in camp, and you didn't have success. And at that point, it was like, well, I just need to go on to get into anything. I could see, the best I could ever hope for would be a hanger on and a nice, 3 to 5 year career, maybe in single A ball, double A ball. But I just really didn't feel that I had the skills, which is very hard to come up with to make it. So I then went back into, I worked in restaurants when I was in high school. I went back into the restaurant world, got into, a fast food company where I spent 25 years working my way up the corporate ladder, just from shift ladder leader, general manager to a district manager, regional manager. And I was living in corporate America, and that was really nice. And I got a call from another company that said, "Hey, come run our franchise side." And we're trying to build a big brand, and we want to grow fast. And at the time I started, we had one brand. When I came over, and I was in charge of supporting the franchisees, supporting openings, and we built that brand up to 100 stores there. And then from there, the largest franchisee of that system happened to be owned by two NFL football players, and they invited me to become in partner with them. And we had our restaurants. We did a Bake Bear franchise. We did our own cookie dough concept as well. And from there, everything was going great. One of the brothers then retired from the NFL, and then the other brother got hurt, couldn't fulfill the end of his contract, and they decided they were going to go into the tequila business, which nothing against tequila, but it was just not something that was in my expertise. And I decided then I was going to go out and help people find franchise systems that matched. And the reason why was, one, I dealt with franchisees in the system, and some of them had no idea what they were getting into, and probably didn't have anybody help them make the match of get into a restaurant business. And two, being with the brothers and being around them, I saw all their friends asking them to invest in really crazy investments, and just really how hard it is for athletes to really sometimes trust people. There were athletes that were friends of theirs that I would go to their weddings, and I go, I really wonder if that wife he's marrying right now really loves him, or just kind of loves that he's an athlete. And so it really is hard for them to decipher through that. And that couple's still married today, by the way. So that's very good news.
And that's very great news. That's very, very good news, and glad to hear it. That was my next question. You read my mind off of my little cheat sheet here. And so I want to stick right here for a second, because that's powerful. Because opening a business, franchise or otherwise, you see the tote bag of an entrepreneur, and professional athletes are not necessarily entrepreneurs. They don't have the core things that an entrepreneur might have or might need to go along the lines of becoming a business owner, right? You may not have that, you may lack that. And so can you speak to how do you teach, or how do you empower franchisees to think like entrepreneurs rather than operators when it comes to the world of professional athletes in sports?
Yeah, the athletes, what I will tell them, what they are really great at, they don't have the fear of the person that's climbing corporate ladder and going into entrepreneurship or business ownership, because that's usually what holds people back in the corporate world. Athletes typically don't have that fear because they've been betting on themselves all their lives, and they are in a sense entrepreneurs because their body and their image is their business. And in a particular franchise business model, to me, I think athletes are a good fit because they're used to following the playbook all their lives. So if you get in a franchise model to where you get really strong support from a franchisor, they're going to give you a playbook of how to run this business, of what to do and what steps to follow. And most athletes are used to doing that their whole lives, and they adapt really well into the franchise business area.
And so it aligns then. It perfectly aligns, because hey, give me the playbook, coach, right? The coach is the head of the franchisor. And they're giving them the play by play. Hey, do this, do this. You want to spend this amount of money on marketing. You want to do this with advertising. And so that makes sense. It's familiar territory, so to speak. Is that what I'm understanding?
100%, very familiar territory. They will typically take criticism. They've been criticized all their lives. Hey, your game needs to improve this way. When a franchisor is there, helping them that they're able to take that constructive criticism and apply it into the business. But also in a franchise system, you have the franchisors we've already discussed is like the coach of, hey, here's what you do. But in that, you also have franchisees that are proud of that system. And those franchisees, once you join into a franchise system, those franchisees are like your teammates. So you could pick up the phone and call the franchisees and they'll go, oh, yeah, I had that happen to me too when I first started. Here's what I did. So athletes will tend to gravitate towards that and call their teammates for help because they've been doing that all their lives. Hey, in baseball, what did my swing look like? Or football, what would my technique look like? So they utilize the franchisees in the system more than a typical, corporate ladder professional would, because sometimes the corporate ladder people are afraid to ask for help.
Absolutely, absolutely. I wanna poke back a little bit, not in a negative way, but I want to poke back a little bit. Why not have? Because if I'm a professional athlete and I got $500,000 or $1 million, wouldn't it be better monetarily for me to invest in a new business venture because I don't have to pay royalties, I don't have to pay franchise fees, I don't have to pay marketing fees, I don't have to pay any of those fees if I could just start the business myself? What can you speak to that? If I'm looking at it just basically, just hey, I got a 500K, I could apply it to this franchise, but I got to pay money to this franchisor versus I could just start the business. I can open a restaurant. I could take my mom's recipe and I can make a mean grilled sandwich, right? So can you speak to that mindset of what you would say to an athlete looking at it just basic? Hey, I save more money opening my own business.
100%. You definitely could save more money, because in some ways a franchise is perfected a build out and they know what it's going to cost. So you could save money doing it on your own. Absolutely. But the issue is now you are really truly on your own. So now you've got to find a site. So you've got to negotiate the lease and find the site. You got to do a build out on your own. So you've got to find contractors and do all the design on your own. You have to now come up with systems and ways to train your crew if you're going to have employees, some sort of system how to train them. So you have to come up with some operating manual that you could do. You have to come and purchase the equipment of where you're going to source out this equipment, what's it going to cost, and then you got to open and hire people, and what are your skills for hiring? Who's going to help you? Now, one thing I will say that where it could work would be if you were an athlete and you had a really good support group behind you that was, let's just say it was a restaurant or even a dog grooming business, that you had a person that was going to be in your operations and run that. You could do that on your own and have a chance. But man, I would still rather pay the royalties and have all that support, all the marketing support, the ongoing support that a franchise gives you anytime you're going to come up with a hiccup, because a franchise provides the guardrails on the road. You can't go off the cliff if you have your franchisor saying, no, this is not what you do. Stop, make this turn, and don't fall off the cliff. We're going to help you get through this rough times. And you have no one to lean on when you're doing it on your own.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Speaking of guardrails, and I thank you for breaking that down so delicately. Can you speak to any other myths, or can you help us debunk any other myths that you've come across with working with professional sports athletes and the world of franchising? And what's a unusual myth that a athlete came to you and said, mama never told me don't, open a franchise because XYZ. Grandpa never told me don't open a franchise. What's a myth that you can debunk right here, right now, for that potential athlete that's considering buying into a franchise, but there's this outgoing myth? You have any of those you had to have overcome?
Oh, absolutely. First, one of the easiest myths is, franchising, that's just restaurants. That
Yeah.
franchises, and you go down the road and you're looking at the trucks that are going by that are plumbing, that they're duct cleaning, and you're going by the strip mall and the business, those, the odds are that they're a franchise. So it's many different industries rather than restaurants. And then what do you get? The biggest myth is they're just there to take your money. They take your money and then they leave you high and dry. They don't care about you anymore. Well, that simply is not true, because how's the franchisor make money? They make more money when you make money. So their whole goal is to make you successful, but not only get you successful, that you're successful in that business, but if your plans are to open another one, they want you to be so successful that you're going to buy unit number 2, unit number 3, and they have as much skin in the game as you do to make them successful. Because the worst thing a franchisor could go is, yeah, we had 10 units, and this year we had 3 of them close. Well,
Mm.
why did you have them close? They don't want that to happen. They're going to do everything they can to make sure you're successful.
Absolutely, that's fair and that's real. They have a hand in the pot. They have a benefit, a mutual benefit to your success, and so they don't want you to fail, and they definitely don't want that on their books to say, "Hey, I opened 10 locations, but 3 of them closed," because that is recorded, and there's almost a fiduciary responsibility, because they have to file every year that
Yep.
FDD and
Yep.
refile that FDD. Do you own any franchises?
So I'm actually we sold all our franchises. So no, I don't own any franchises. Just my business now. So we had our restaurants. We had a cookie dough concept in the coffee shop. So we did that and sold it. And so then I just started my consultant. And I wanted to wait a while, because I'm in California, and I was like, do I want to do a brick and mortar in California anymore, or will at some point I be relocating? And I've that's why I've kind of gone away from opening a franchise in California. I think I'm probably going to be relocating here, and maybe a couple of years I can see that happening.
That's fair. That's fair. Are these franchises that you consult on, are they hands off? Can I still be an athlete and still play, or do I have to be retired and then open a franchise? What is your niche and specialty there? What's the best type? Should I be retiring so I can fully commit to these businesses, or no? Can I
So
be
no,
hands off?
it kind of really depends on what you want to do. I have 400 brands. You can keep playing while you're doing this, or you could be retired while you could be hands on. But some franchises are semi passive, where you can just sort of be involved, and you're managing the manager. Or some are owner operator. If they're owner operator, we scratch off those off the list. I'll give you an example. We just closed the deal last month. Have a NFL football player right now. He just signed a free agent contract, so he got a nice signing bonus. But we started talking about last year, and he said, James, I probably got 2 years left in the league, maybe 3. So I know when I'm done playing, my income's going to go from millions to zero. I'm going to have
Mm,
$0 coming in. I realize that. So what I want to do, I would like to have $500,000 doing that. Tell me a franchise that can help me do that. I would like to get this open now and walk into 500,000, of the potential of $500,000 when I'm done playing. So we looked at different franchise options that are out there. Showed him, dog grooming, indoor golf studios, and he really gravitated and loved this gym concept that was a gym, and they do a 6 week weight loss challenge. And then they have supplements that help you get healthy and keep that weight off. So he was really drawn to this particular franchise, and he wound up doing a 3-store deal with them, 3-unit deal. And he's going to open, the unit number 1 probably will be open by, I would say, the end of the football season coming up now. And then he'll plan to have another one open, and then the third one open before he's done playing. And this particular franchise knew they had an NFL athlete at their disposal, and they were thinking, wow, this is great that we have an NFL athlete. We're going to really give you top-notch support. We're going to take someone from our corporate office, and they're going to kind of help you and guide you, one-on-one. And while you're playing football, we're going to make sure we give you that extra attention, and we're going to help you identify that manager and help you get that operator. But we're going to have the eyes on your business while you're out there playing football.
That's fair. That's good. They took him on board and got side by side with him and worked with him to make sure that this franchise is successful. So when the athlete retires, there's money coming in through other means. And so I'm gonna cheat a little bit here. I'm gonna be a little bit selfish. What are the top? I feel like, right? You could just sell. Isn't it just selling? McDonald's franchises. Isn't that the top producing? A professional athlete could come in and just say, "Hey, I want 10 McDonald's because it's a household name. Everybody knows it. Why dog grooming? Why the car wash? Why the gym? What are the best franchise? Why not just sell McDonald's franchises and not be done with it to professional athletes?"
Well, what one the they're so big they don't need someone like me to show them things, right? But two, the other problem is, being that I grew up in the restaurant business, I typically, if an athlete wants to look at a restaurant, absolutely, I will try to find him the best fit. I typically do not show athletes restaurants because they're a lot of involvement. For really hands off, it is really tough to be successful. Only if you have that team I talked about in place that has restaurant experience, maybe it would make sense then. But you have to realize that an investment into a McDonald's is like close to $2 million per store. And that's going to be the layout, and your margins are shrinking, your labor pool is going up, wages are going up in this particular industry, so it's really a tough business. So I can let's just do the math. I could put you in one McDonald's for 2 million, and let's say I was doing dog grooming at 200K a unit. What is that? That's 10 dog grooming businesses at that. Compared to one McDonald's. I'll take my chances of doing that, or even doing 3 to 4 dog grooming businesses, and your outlay that you're laying out is much cheaper, and it is not as hard to run, and your margins are much stronger in this particular example of dog grooming.
Jim, so what you're saying is I can get more bang for my buck. I can get more quantity. I can get more value from gaining quantity, right? I can open more dog grooming locations versus the one McDonald's that it's really tough. Like you said, it's really tough. And it has a high cost to it versus I could get 10 or 3 locations, 4 locations, and kind of diversify my portfolio in a sense, right? Is that what I'm picking up? Is that what I'm
100%.
smelling?
Yes. You know what? Let's do a dog grooming. Let's do a moving company. Let's do a chirotherapy business. Let's do 3 of those, and we're still way short of what we have to spend to get into a McDonald's, and we could diversify. Yeah, absolutely.
So we got some money left over. I love it. I love it. Let's be smart with our dollars. And so I want to kind of still pick your brain. I know you consult to this, but what are your favorite? Let's start there. What are your favorite franchises that you like have really good margins, really good numbers, and they don't cost too much? Is it dog grooming? I've seen a franchise the other day. It was for one of those IV drip studios where it's like you walk in and you say, "I need an energy boost." And they got the little bag that they give, and a professional lobotomist is in there, and she sticks the needle in, and she gives you a boost of energy in this IV drip. What are the best what are your favorite? Let me not say best, because you're a consultant, but what are your favorite franchises that you like to see?
Wow, that's a really great question. So what I typically try to do, I will talk with the candidate about the different industries out there. I'll give them my 2 cents, and then I will let them drive the bus, but I will show them, what I think could be an amazing fit. I would say, for me personally, one that I placed the most candidates in this year is a indoor golf simulator business.
Really?
24/7 access, that you can go in and hit. You could do leagues. You have your membership, so you have that reoccurring membership there, and it's a really great semi-absentee because there's typically no employees you really have to use because it's all kind of automated. So very few on the labor. It makes a great semi-absentee. I love the dog grooming because of that. The margins are super strong in anything in the pet industry is super strong. Health and wellness is a very strong industry as well out there, as well as the moving and junk removal franchises are extremely well. And then we talk about senior care. That's a really super strong industry that there's going to be a need for it. It just takes a little bit longer to ramp up, but it is a very strong franchise. Any industry, I could tell you there's a great franchise. In the automotive industry, you get really strong margins in window tinting, just for window tinting cars and doing accessories. So there's many different opportunities out there. But I would tell you this year, the most candidates I placed in have been that indoor golf studio.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Love it. I'm gonna pick your brain here. Mr. James, I came to you. We just experienced COVID-19, and now there's a new movement, a new strain, a new virus on the rise now back here in America. So I need a recession-proof COVID-19 resistant franchise, and you got 400 plus franchises to choose from. So can you walk me through that? I need a COVID resistant franchise to get through a potential. I don't want to put any buzzwords out there, but a potential shutdown again. How would you advise me or in that way?
Well, now that we've gone through it, we have a little bit more, data to go off of. But what I would tell you, in the franchise world, once COVID hit, it was spectacular for people looking to buy into businesses. One, because it was like, hey, I can get out of the corporate grind and get into a business. And resistant proof businesses are the home service markets. Window washing, screening, redesigning the outdoor. Oh, very, very much so. You don't really have to have any contact to come into the home and work. Though the home services were outstanding in Steel it breathed a little bit of life back into those franchises. Lighting, because what did we do? We stayed at home. We entertained when we could entertain, and we wanted to have a really nice backyard. So the anything in the home service market, that's what I would show you in COVID times, and we can find a match. Like I said, from lighting, to screen repair, to design a backyard, to redo your kitchen and bathroom, remodel the house. Many different franchises in that world.
You guys see the incredible mind, the incredible brain on Mr. James here. Another round of applause for Mr. James. This is good. This is absolutely incredible. As a former franchise owner, I want to pick your brain. What has been one of the toughest decisions you've ever had to make? Because with selling a franchise, selling your franchise, that can be scary. What's one of the toughest decisions you've had to make in business yourself? Can you share a learning point, something that the professional athlete might not have to consider again, because he's working with a team, he has individuals, he has coaches, he has experts, but you're still a leader, right? Ultimately, the decision falls on you. And so can you share a hard decision that you had to make, and what was it, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I would not only go back to, running a franchise, but just running business in the corporate world. And that comes from the state of dealing with employees. You have great employees, you treat them great, you treat them right. but nothing's going to slow your business down or your production down of having an employee who just doesn't fit. And it may be someone that you really like personally, but it's just not cutting it business wise. You have to make that tough decision to, part from that employee. And it's never fun firing anybody. If anybody says they get joy out of firing, I'd be, wow, I don't even know. I don't know what you eat, because I would never. It's always hard firing. I've never enjoyed it. And even if the employee had it coming and was stealing from me, it still was hard to fire an employee. But those are the decisions that you have to make of, are they helping me get to where I want to do? Are they helping me achieve my objectives in business? And you've got to say, if they're not, then you have to make the tough decision of letting them go, because nothing will hold you down than bad employees. And it's it's harder to pull someone up. When someone wants to pull you down, I can pull you down much easier than pull you up. So that one bad employee is really causing a lot of the problems. And that would just be one thing that it's a tough decision to make, but something that has to be done to protect your business and protect your brand.
Absolutely. You're so right. You're so right. You got any franchises without employees?
Yeah, well, the golf simulator business
that has no employees.
Yeah, you just need an employee every once in a while to maybe clean up the place, and then you're going to want to sell subscriptions to it. So you're going to want a salesperson, but really to run the day to day, it's very minimal. So
okay, so I think I'm laying down what you're smelling, or I think I'm smelling what you're laying down. Right? I think you're putting down. So the customer is on a subscription. So the customer lets themselves in to the VR chamber. There's no staff there. Maybe some sanitation, some wiping down, some cleaning the equipment, the golf equipment from time, cleaning the equipment. But it sounds like pretty hands off. I guess once you get there's some maintenance from time to time, I can imagine, on the virtual equipment. But so very few. What would I need an employee for? Just a manager, I guess, to take the payments, or what? What?
Yeah, no, it's all automated. Even payments. You're talking really, if you're an owner in one of those, you're talking maybe put in 10 hours a week for the business. So you could, like, I have there's a school teacher looking at it. He's going to close on it in about 2 weeks. He should have all his financing done and everything. So he's looking, hey, I'm ready to retire for school teaching, but I think I want to go 3 more years. But he's going, I could start this golf simulator business now and still keep my job. This is a win-win for me.
Oh man. Okay. So hands off. I'm loving it. I really like it. So again, that's COVID resistant for me, right? Because I have very little employees. Again, I just have to get a cleaner to come through, clean and wipe down the golf clubs. Or are they? I guess they're bringing their own clubs. They're not.
Majority are bringing their own clubs, but they do have rentals if you don't have them. Yeah.
Gotcha. I think I saw one in my local market. So this is big. Any gas stations in your portfolio of franchise locations? Any gas stations in there?
Yeah, they're very expensive, but yes, they're
really?
they're very expensive once you get in that. But the convenience stores, you're looking at probably 2 million plus for that build out. You could do a convenience market store for about $800K. But yeah, I mean, they do okay. They really do okay. There's a lot of different regulations that the gas station franchises have to follow about building down, dropping the tanks in. And, it really is something that, deep pockets, just put it that way.
For sure. Again, this is one of those conversations that you need to have with Mr. James on whether you want to go big or do you want to have multiple, right? The biggest bang for your buck, right? I'm with Mr. James on this one. I'm doing the multiple, right? If I can get more locations opened up and running in different markets. Are you across the United States? Are you able to? Okay, perfect. So gain a couple markets, maybe one West Coast, one in the middle, one East Coast, so you're covered there, right? 3 locations. That
Mhm.
I'm with Mr. James on this one. I'm feeling that
Absolutely.
one. I heard a rule of thumb, because there's the, and we mentioned it earlier, the McDonald's franchise, right? It's big name brand, been around forever. But what about micro franchises? I've heard a rule of thumb: if a franchise has less than 100 locations, it could be dangerous. It could be any rules of thumb that you or wisdom you could share on that. But because the other side to that is, if a franchise has less than 100 locations, that means they allow more innovation, and those new franchisees coming in could be more advisory, and the franchise is open to, hey, well, in your market, like I'll give you the example I was given. Meineke, when Meineke first opened up his franchise, it was just mufflers, right?
Mhm.
And they had less than 100 locations, and so those initial core franchisees were able to expand and say, no, we need to do oils, we need to do brakes, we need to do oil changes, we need to be doing headlights. And so Meineke grew because the initial, those startup franchisees were able to say, no, we need to expand more than mufflers. And so, are micro franchises the future, or will big name brands always dominate the industry? What is any advice there?
Well, you just answered the question. You took the words right out of my mouth. One thing, that you're absolutely right. You're able to have a little bit more innovation, a little bit more. Hey, can we try this? And they'll be open to that. And so I think it's great. Not only that, too, you're going to get more odds are you're going to get more support because they have a smaller team with them, but they also are really vested of really growing the franchise and going to make sure that they have that support for you. And really, when we look at franchises, let's say that's under 100, really that's where it comes in of doing the due diligence of following of, let's take dog grooming. Let's just say they had 50 of them, right? So we're going to, I'm going to introduce you to the franchisor. The franchisor is going to talk to you. You're going to, hey, James, this sounds great. I love it. I got the FDD. I send you a guide how to read the FDD. You go through it, say, I love it. I love it. It sounds great. I love the franchisor. I've met the team. I love it. And then it's like, okay, let's talk with the franchisees in the system and let's ask them, would you do it again? How quick did you make your money back? What's the support look like? To me, the most important thing in a franchise is, one, yes, the financials have to be there, but what kind of support are you going to get for them? And, after your grand opening, they got you going, are you still getting support? Are you happy with that? Are you happy with the vendors that are choosing? So after we talk with the franchisees, if we still love it, then it's the neon sign goes, more than likely a yes, then do the deal. But do the homework first of talking with franchisees in the system, because they're going to tell you, yes or no. I mean, I had one, it wasn't it was just a professional, a person from corporate America. They were looking to get into a steam cleaning business, and they talked to the franchisees, and 5 of the 10 told them, I would just buy the equipment for yourself because you don't get that much support after opening, and
Mm,
you're paying these fees. So that was a red flag, and I would never show that franchise again. But you learn so much by talking with franchisees in the system.
that's so good. That's so good. What mindset? What mindset should an athlete have when considering a franchise? What is something that you consistently have to say, hey, get your mind from here to this? I need you to stop thinking like this, like the most common one, right? Stop thinking like an employee. I need you to stop thinking like an employee and think like a business owner. What are some mindsets that make a successful franchise owner?
Well, in talking with the athletes, one of the things is I need your mindset to not to talk to your agent, because he's going to be mad that he's not making anything off this deal. So
Agents don't get anything?
no, not when they do a franchise deal like this. They don't get, a cut of that commission or anything, because they're making what the athlete earns on the field. So sometimes an app that, an agent's, not going to give the go, and then their financial advisor is not going to give a go, because most financial advisors are adverse to risk. So, yeah, I want your mindset to be, what do you want to do, and what are you looking to achieve? And let's go on the journey. Have that open mind of, let's go on the journey of discovering together, what are we looking to achieve? Are we looking to do one unit after you're done playing, or is it during your playing? Trying to set you up for the future, or let's come up with that game plan. Is it, hey, I want to have 2 or 3 of these, and I want to make it a family business, and I want to create generational wealth. So then we start looking at the different options that there are. But it's just just do the hurdles of taking out the noise that you've heard, and putting that aside of, I don't know if you should go into business, blah blah. You should just go on the speaking tour, and just get paid for being a paid speaker or whatnot, in the athlete's case.
So you brought to light something I had no clue about. Clearly, because I'm not a professional athlete, and you are. But I thought the agent gets paid off of everything that the athlete does. So when they're doing that Nike deal, that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with sports. When they're doing that high C, or that drink, that power energy drink, hey, drink, Gatorade, that doesn't have anything to do with sports, right? So how does the agent? I thought the agent got paid off of everything you make.
They get paid off that, though. They do, because that's they brought that deal to them, so they get paid off for Gatorade, and in the shoe business. If they're involved in getting that, they get paid off that. But as far as a franchise, when they're done playing that, or during their playing, like, you don't have to cut a check to your agent for signing a 3-store deal in a franchise that you're going to open one up. But anything that they've brought to you, and they've negotiated a contract for you, that's where they're going to get paid out of. They're not really negotiating your contract to become a business owner. That's why you do it. You're an entrepreneur. You're trying to get away from them in some sort of ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So could an athlete have you as their business consultant, but then still have the agent? Is there any conflict of interest there, or
No, that's totally fine. Yeah. So sometimes the agent will not want them to do that, because it will not, one, they're not getting the cut of it, and two, it's just something that might take their attention away of, hey, I can book you, 20 speaking tours, and that's what I want you to do. I don't want you to own this business.
Oh, wow. But I feel like that's contradictory of you want me to succeed, right? You want me to have a career. What happens to an agent when an athlete retires? Does that agent go and be a agent for someone else, or do they retire with the athlete? I mean, I can't build sustainability off of managing your sports career, because your sports career will end, right? Eventually.
Yeah.
So I don't understand that mindset of, I don't want you to make money outside of this.
Well, that's, I should clarify it. That's not all agents.
Right.
It's just the agent that is sometimes not looking out for the athlete's best interest. Once they're retired, the agent could still grab them, different deals, that are out there, that are available to them where they need them. But the need for negotiating $1 million contract, and all those provisions, that's gone once they're done playing, unless you're looking at a big deal with Nike or something. But that's very few athletes that actually get that after their playing days.
Absolutely. Are you still friends with your agent?
No.
I was getting like, hey, there's no harm, no foul.
No, it's a great guy, but it's just that he still did his thing. I did my thing, and I was never going to have a need for him anymore from what I was doing. So, once I jumped into the restaurant business, I didn't have a need for an agent, and he is a really good guy, but he's just our paths have never recrossed, put it that way.
That's fair. But he could still come to you, right? He could come back and say, hey, James, I found this huge deal with Shaquille O'Neal. Could he still do that, or is that completely done?
Yeah, he could do that. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. He could do that. But I mean, obviously, if he calls after listening to this, I mean, I'm picking up the phone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We are going into the age of technology. Technology is taking over everything. It's in your face. Blockchain, cryptocurrency, digital currency, digital this, digital that. Um, do you see a future in the era of digital disruption? How is franchising evolving? Do you see a lot more technology-based franchises coming into the fold, or what are you seeing as the trend now that's happening?
Yeah, I'm not just yet of the technical industry type thing coming in there. I'm sure some will evolve. I would say in my day to day dealings, I have a AI CRM system that talks to the client before I could the moment that there's a lead that comes up that's from someone from corporate America, I have the AI just talking to them, as well as who doesn't use Chat GPT every day when you're crafting a bunch of emails that are out there. So I find it tools that are very helpful, and tools that I think will involved into someone having a franchise that are that incorporates those tools. But for now, it's just AI tools that are incorporated in existing franchises of how they're helping their franchisees.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you find it helps the athlete make a bigger impact in their franchise by using their name? As because again, you're a celebrity, these are celebrity athletes. Do you find, is that a conflict of interest? Can I use my status as a great professional baseball player, or is that a no-go? You can't do that.
Oh, I would definitely encourage that.
Really?
Using their name in that, absolutely. They already talking about the football player that that's doing the franchises when he's done. When he opens that first one, it's, hey, let's we're going to put up, here you're the owner here, and your teammates that you used to play for in the Texans, get them to come out on opening day and help support your gym and community, and use your name and likeness to your advantage. So absolutely use that to draw in business and guests and customers and whatever you can do.
I can't find a better grand opening opportunity than, hey, have your team come to your franchise, come to your virtual golfing center, come to your Chick-fil-A, your McDonald's, let me stop using McDonald's. You come to your restaurant and
Mhm.
sign autographs.
Yep.
I can't think of a better grand opening.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
what are some trends you've seen? What are some tactics that, or pro tips? Can you give some pro tips that athletes can leverage their professional career to help build their franchise model faster?
Yeah, just the relationships that they have, not only teammates, but they may date a supermodel. So now you're going to get all the influencers that may come in if you're there with her. And I think really that just the having your name and just being a part of what you want to do, and not only just to be successful at business, but to help the community out, that you use your name for a good cause and to build your business. The tips are, use your teammates, use your friends, use the people that will get other people to flock to your business. And don't be afraid to do that, and don't be afraid to ask for help. And sometimes, if you have a case where you're in a strip mall and you have another business that's there, you may be able to do some cross promotions with them to where they can help you, or maybe they have a product that you need and want, and you can maybe work a trade with them. I've seen athletes use their business, use their name to get major discounts on plumbing, or even repairs on your building. It just goes because you're more than happy to sign a couple autographs, and I'm not going to charge you for unclogging that drain for you. It
Absolutely.
happens.
I believe. Have you ever talked an athlete out of a particular model of franchise or a particular industry because it could hurt their professional brand or their athletic brand? Have you ever talked to athletes and say, "Hey, this is I understand it looks good numbers wise, or it has a good track record, or it's in the locations that you want, but it's not going to be a good fit for your brand long term." Have you ever done anything like that?
I've said that. I mean, again, I kind of let them drive that. The probably the most one I've done has really been talking them out of restaurants, in the fact of, my wife's going to run this while I'm on the road. Okay, well, does your wife know anything about the restaurant business? No. And then I'm going to go, you're really going on a slippery scale here, because in the restaurant business, if your wife's the one you're putting in charge, she's going to be there 60, 80 hours a week. You have kids, it's just not going to be a good lifestyle while you're out on the road, and she's going to be working. So I would rethink that. And if you really want to do this, let's try to find you a operating partner, the ones that will be an operator that has that experience, and then you can make them a partner if you want to go that route. But to be a family business, to have the expectation of a significant other doing that, it's not really realistic.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's fair. Is that why you sold your franchises? Is that why you got out the business?
Yeah, really, it was just time, and it's just getting so tough of dealing in that restaurant business and that space. Don't get me wrong, I love it. I loved everything about it, but it was just such a relief, and it was just time to get a reset and just try something else.
I heard the turnover rate in a restaurant. I'll never do a restaurant franchises. I'm currently doing one with my co-founder and my girl. We're doing a franchise, but I would never do a restaurant. The turnover I heard is like over 50%. I heard it's something ridiculous. I can't imagine. I can't imagine half of the people I hired today are not going to be with me in a year. That is just insane to me,
Yeah.
numbers wise.
I mean, if you're a really good operator, you can lower those numbers, because it really kind of depends on how you treat your employees. And a lot of times, this is getting into restaurant talk now, but it was,
Please.
it would be like, you really shouldn't hire high school kids or college kids to work at your restaurant. To me, that's what I did. And I kept my staff, and I had to do some training, and I had to do some babysitting, but I found they were the best employees because I had them once they turned 16. I typically had them 2 years out of they got through high school. If they went to local community college, I had them all the way through college. If they went to a 4-year college, they came back to me, and I'm a very flexible, nice boss, that I said, hey, work on your summer vacation, work on your spring break, work on your Christmas break. And, I had these employees that were really good for a long time. And I always made sure I hired a lot of people. So I had a staff. If someone called off, I was not worried about that. I had 10 other people I could call in.
Absolutely. You're convincing me, but I'm terrified. I'm telling you, I'm so terrified of restaurant franchises. They scared the living bejesus out. If it's not the food, if it's not the customer face, that's why I asked a question about, you got any franchises that are not that have no employees? Because again, it's such a tough industry. The chef is. I worked as a busser, all right, growing up, and the chef is complaining. He wants a raise because he's working extra nights, and he's the hostess is at the bar drinking when she should be at the host station seating people. It's oh my god. And then the food, the freezer broke. The freezer broke. Now I got to get someone to come fix the freezer, and I got to do something with all this food that I already spent the money on. Oh my gosh.
You know what? My days were never the same. because something always was happening. So it was always something different every day. But hey, it's enjoyable.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mr. James, spilling the tea. This is incredible. Incredible. This is an incredible conversation. I enjoy this conversation so much. Mr. James, how about you?
I loved it. We have to do part two.
I'd love to. This is incredible, Mr. James. You've shared so many nuggets this episode, so much wisdom, so much insight to that pro athlete, and this is why I had to reach out to you, because, like I said, that professional athlete is not thinking long term, and this is long term. This is the future. This is how they can build a lasting revenue stream, some legacy in there, and build something outside of themselves. When that, unfortunate, I hear so many athletes, they get injured, you're done. You one injury, I mean, it could take you out. It's devastating. But here's a safety net that could help you protect your legacy, protect your family. So if you had one more tip to that athlete watching you right now who's fearful about whether they should do this, whether they should take a leap of faith and reach out to you, what would you say to them right here, right now, if they were just toting the line and scared to death? What would you say?
Yeah, that exactly what I would say. Lose that fear. It's time to, take control of yourself. When the cheering stops, it's time to get into business, and you can do this with the help of a franchise system, and we'll find you the right match, and we'll make you successful.
Absolutely. How can people connect with you? How can people find you? How can people learn more? The train has already left the station. You're doing this already full time. You're in it to win it. But how can people connect with you?
Yeah, the website is theframdream.com, or send me an email, james@theframdream.com. Would love to connect and talk with any athlete or any business person that's out there that looking to take control of their life and time.
Absolutely. Connect. It's not too late to change that shift. Shaq, I'm talking to you. he has plenty of franchises. Shaq, he's super good. Oh my God. But Mr. James, thank you. Thank you for being here. I want to say this to you publicly. Never quit. Never stop doing what you're doing, because we need this. We need
Thank
what
you
you're
so much. Thank you so much. It was, where'd the time go?
It's like talking to a friend.
Right.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. We gotta let this incredible man go. He has many more athletes, many more lives to change, but we are out of time, unfortunately. But you guys stay connected. Connect to this man. Again, for our audio listeners, this is www.theframdream.com. Send him an email, connect, and get started today with changing your life. Like we end every show. Take care of your friends, take care of your family, and always take care of business. This is Marcus, your favorite gentleman, and the incredible James Hilovsky, signing off. Love you guys. Bye.